Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Morphtronic deck profile. So I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys because it plays one of the most unique signer dragons of them all in the form of Power Tool Dragon, which is a very unique monster that has some amazing effects that regard equip spells. And playing Morphtronics in this particular deck is really interesting because they have different abilities depending on if they're in attack position or defense position, which is an amazing concept for a deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name to your single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, or even getting to request deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Morphtronic Self-On. So Self-On is really good because it's basically the main one that you're going to be going into this deck. Because when this card is in attack position once per turn, you can roll a 6-sided dice and reveal cards from the top of your deck until you equal to the amount you rolled. So you can reveal 1 to 6 depending on what you roll. And it has the ability to special summon one level 4 lower Morphtronic monster from the among cards that you drew off the top of the deck, off the roll, and then you shuffle the rest back in the deck. And then while it's in defense position, you can once per turn roll a 6-sided die, look at the cards at the top of your deck equal to the roll, and then return them in any order, which is a really good effect as well, but I love the special summon effect of this card. We then play 3 copies of Morphtronic Smartphone. Smartphone is really neat too because it has the ability that one cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand by banishing a Morphtronic from your graveyard. It is a tuner monster and it has a really neat effect also that when it's in attack position, you can once per turn roll a 6-sided die, excavate the top cards from your deck, and then add 1 excavated Morphtronic card from your deck to your hand from the cards that you revealed, and you shuffle the rest back in the deck. And when it's in defense position, you can roll a 6-sided dice and look at that many cards on the top of your deck and place them back in any order. So it's basically kind of like a retrain of Smartphone and an upgraded version of Smartphone as well, or Selthon, which is kind of neat. We then play 3 copies of Scopin. Scopin is kind of neat too because Scopin has the ability that when this card is in attack position, you can once per turn special summon 1 level 4 Morphtronic monster in your hand and then destroy it during the end phase, which you're usually going to use it as a synchro material or a link material to go into different plays. And when it's in defense position, this face-up card becomes level 4, which is kind of neat too. We play 3 copies of Morphtronic Remoten. Remoten is really helpful in this build too because it has some unique effects in the form of when it's an attack, you can once per turn remove and play 1 Morphtronic from the graveyard to add a Morphtronic monster with the same level from your deck to your hand. Or if it's in defense position, you can once per turn send a Morphtronic monster from your hand to the graveyard to add a Morphtronic monster with the same level as that monster from your graveyard to your hand. So you can either grab from graveyard or from your deck, which is a very unique effect to be able to grab those particular monsters to get you different plays. We then play 3 copies of Morphtronic Boomboxen. Boomboxen is really just here because it's a level 4 Earth monster. And what it does is when this card is in attack position, it can attack twice, and then when it's in defense, you can when a Morphtronic monster you control is selected from an attack target, you negate the attack once per turn, which is pretty cool to be able to just use that effect to negate the attack. But basically it's just here because it helps you go into Tree Beast and it's a combo extender. We then play 3 copies of Vacuumin. Vacuumin is really amazing because when this card's in face attack position, you once per turn send 1 equip card to the graveyard to inflict 5 points of damage to your opponent. When it's in defense, you can equip 1 face-up attack position monster your controls to this card as an equip spell, which is very unique. And basically, if you normal summon out 1 of them and use a copy of Machine Dupe to special summon out 2 more of them, it basically becomes relinquished in defense position, which is kind of neat. I love that effect to be able to gobble up opponents' monsters, and then you can switch it back to attack position and then send them to the graveyard to be able to inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent, which is really neat. I love playing this card in this deck because it's super, super cool. We then play a single copy of Morphtronic Slingin. Slingin is really good because you get to, when it's attack position, treat a Morphtronic and then destroy a card on the field. And then when it's in defense, if this card would be destroyed, you can destroy 1 other Morphtronic you control instead, which is a very unique effect and very helpful for this particular deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. Now the spells is where the deck starts getting a little crazy. In the form of your Self-Ons and your Smartphones, those are the big like combo starters and play starters, but the spells in the deck is where it starts really getting you into some crazy extensions. So first off, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn. The Monster Reborn is going to be super helpful to get you additional plays on your side of the field, to revive monsters out of the graveyard, to get some really good plays off. A single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is going to get the exact monster you need in the graveyard when you need it. One copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is helpful as well because it helps you negate hand traps, which is really nice. One copy of Pot of Avarice. Pot of Avarice lets you put monsters back into your deck and then shuffle the deck. That's 5 monsters, and then you get to draw 2, which can help you get into more extension plays, and it can also be really helpful because it can get you back your extra deck monsters into the deck. We play a single copy of 1-for-1 because you do play a lot of level 1s in this particular deck, so you can just send a monster from your hand to the graveyard to use this effect to get you a monster on your side of the field. I play 2 copies of Morphtronic Accelerator. Morphtronic Accelerator lets you return a Morphtronic card to your hand, return the Morphtronic from your hand to the deck, and then destroy a card on the field, and then if you do, you get to draw a card. So it kind of replaces itself a little bit and pops a card to your opponent control, so it kind of goes 1-for-1. So this card is a 2-of in the deck, is kind of helpful. We play 3 copies of Junk Box. Junk Box is probably one of the best cards in the entire deck because it lets you select 1 Morphtronic in the graveyard that's level 4 or lower and special summon that card but destroy during the end phase. But it can help you roll your copy of your Selthon. It can help you roll your copies of your different monsters' effects, and it can put them in attack or defense, which is really cool just to special summon to your side of the field to get the exact effect you want. We then play 3 copies of Desynchro. Desynchro is really, really neat because Desynchro can help you out with a lot of different plays to be able to target a synchro monster and return the target to the extra deck, and then if you do, then you get to special summon back the materials from the graveyard that was used to synchro summon that monster, which is really helpful. The cool thing is if your opponent's playing a synchro deck and they don't have the materials in the graveyard, it basically just destroys the monster and it goes back to the extra deck. It bounces it, they don't get back both the materials because they weren't there, but that's very important to keep in mind that if your materials are not in the graveyard, you basically just send your monster back to the extra deck for nothing. So that is very important to make sure that your materials are still in the graveyard with this card. We then play 3 copies of Machine Duplication. Machine Dupe is really good because it lets you target a machine type monster with 500 attack, and then special summon out 2 more copies of the same monster from the deck, which pretty much the entire deck has the ability to do that, except for Boomboxing and Slinging. The rest of them are basically going to be level, they're going to basically have less than 500 attack in the form of Selthon, Smarfon, Scopin is a little bit too big, and Remotin is perfect to be able to summon out from this effect, and Vacuumin is perfect to actually summon. So you have Vacuumin, you have Remotin, and you basically have your Selthon that you can special summon by this effect, which is really, really good for this particular ability. And then we play 2 copies of DDR, which is Different Dimension Reincarnation. DDR lets you discard a card, special summon back a banished monster to your side of the field, which is really, really helpful. And then we play 3 copies of Morphtronic Repair Unit. Repair Unit is insane in this deck because it lets you send a Morphtronic monster from your hand to the graveyard to select a Morphtronic monster in your graveyard and special summon that target and equip with this card. And then also its battle position, when it's changed, you remove this card from the field and destroy that equipped monster. So it's really important to be able to special summon back your copies of your monsters back to your side of the field to go into all sorts of different synchro plays. This card is very, very pivotal for the deck to be able to go into some really, really nice plays. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. Or not the traps, but the extra deck, actually. We don't play any traps. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Power Tool Dragon. Power Tool Dragon is really good in the deck. You just want to play a single copy of this card because what it does basically is you get to once per turn during the main phase, you get to select 3 equip spell cards from your deck and have your opponent randomly pick one of them and add it to your hand and return the remaining to the deck. And if this card would be destroyed, you can destroy an equip spell that's equipped to this card instead, which is pretty good just to be able to get you that additional playoff. And it searches out basically your Monster Reborns and your DDRs, which is really cool in the form of your Morphtronic Repair Unit. And so it's a really good card to synchro summon into and grab those from the deck. 1 copy of Cosmic Blazar. Cosmic Blazar is really good because it's easy to summon in this deck because it's really easy to synchro climb. And what it does is it has a lot of different effects to be able to either, when your opponent activates a card or effect, negate the activation to destroy it. When your opponent would special summon a monster, you can negate the summon if you destroy it. And when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can negate the attack in the battle phase, which is really cool. But you have to banish this card until the end of the phase of the turn to be able to activate those effects. Play a single copy of Satellite Warrior. Satellite Warrior just pops a bunch of stuff on the field, so it's really nice upon summon. And it gains 1,000 attack for every card that it popped, which is really nice. And it gains attack equal to the amount of synchro monsters in the graveyard. So it's really an awesome card to summon this card in your deck. 1 copy of Trishula. Trishula is really good because it can rip for 3, 1 from the field, 1 from the grave, and 1 from the hand of your opponent, which is really nice. 1 copy of Clearwing. Clearwing is also a really easy card to summon in this deck because you have a lot of different tuners and you have a lot of synchro monsters that are tuner or are just regular synchro monsters, so it's easy to go into. 1 copy of Borreload Savage because it gives you additional negations in the deck. 1 copy of F.A. Dawn Dragster because it can negate spells and traps, 1 copy of TG Hyper Librarian. Now this is the reason you play the copies of your Desynchro, because Desynchro essentially becomes Upstart Goblin, because you can just resynchro back into the other monster that you're playing, especially if you're playing Formula Synchron and you're rolling between Formula and Hyper Librarian. You're going to get to draw 2 for every single copy of your Desynchro, which is pretty cool. 1 copy of Naturia Beast because it can negate spells, 1 copy of Shiranui Sword Saga because when this card is special summoned, you get to once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you get to target one monster on the field and change its battle position, which can help you out a little bit in the deck to be able to change the battle position of a Morphtronic monster to be able to get effects off, which is really nice. Herald of the Arclight, because it gives you additional negations. 2 copies of Formula Synchron, because it helps you go into stuff like Cosmic Blazar, Satellite Warrior, and get you a draw card after its resolution, which is really cool. To be able to, when it's summoned, you get to draw a card, and it also has the quick effect to be able to synchro summon during your opponent's turn. Skull Dread, because it's really nice to dig into the deck. It's really easy to put multiple monsters on the field to be able to use this effect, to be able to dig in the deck, to draw 4, and then place 3 back. And also, you get to once per turn special summon a monster from the hand, so this card's really easy to go into in this deck, and it's just an overall really nice card. And the second copy of Needle Fiber. Needle Fiber is just really good because it's a synchro deck, and you're basically focusing around trying to get into your copy of your Cosmic Blazar and Satellite Warrior. So this is very, very important for the deck to summon this card to your side of the field and then tribute it off to summon out Formula as basically a free play on your side of the field. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really cool deck to play with. I highly recommend that if you guys have not tried Morphtronics, you definitely should, because the deck is really unique and it's really fun to play. It's pretty easy, straightforward. If you've ever played anything that summoned Quasar, it plays a lot like Synchrons. It plays a lot like those kind of decks that summon out the Blazar Quasar plays, which is really amazing. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of notifications, and we'll see you guys in the next videos. See you later, guys.